we probably had like 15 CT setups. I love CT side. One of them we called Navi, and we had somebody play like where Edward used to play. We were fairly close up on the site. But then we had VP, where I think we had a guy up top, we had a guy bomb train, we had a guy here, and like a guy here. Like it was very passive. So I'm curious how much of this that we're seeing from Astralis is a result of the fact that look at it, that VP likes to play fairly passive in the site. If you don't play close on ladder, you don't play close on T connector, you can run those types of executes. If they try to run that and there's a smoke here and Snacks is up close and there's a guy on top of the bomb train, it's a much different process to actually get out of the connector, let alone to run whatever lines you're supposed to run on that exec. The wall is just randomly making a muzzle flash. Sick game, Valve. The way that Astralis has been playing, like they throw a smoke here, they throw a smoke here, and they basically get this whole area for free, and then they trade out the players here. Tells me that VP should recognize that and make the adjustment. When they tried to, Astralis changed it up, and they said, okay, well, we're going to cut off visibility here again, we're going to cut off visibility here, and we're literally just going to sit here and wait. And one of you guys is going to run through the smoke, and one of you guys is going to run through this smoke, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, long answer for you, Kilroy, of like when you want to play the different setups. Sometimes, like I said at the very beginning, you're just going to want to play a different setup than you played the round before, right? You want to keep things dynamic. Sometimes, if a team's executing real heavy on you, and let's say they're bringing a lot of executes that are coming through Ivy, right? Like they smoke this off, then they throw a Molotov here, and then they throw flashes, and they come this way. You might want to play real aggressive on Ivy. But the way that VP had in the past, from my recollection, because we stole one of their CT setups, they like to play really passive outside. You're going to require good utility late. You're going to have really good retakes. And you basically are counting on having some kind of information, right? Like Taz up here has a lot of information really early in the round, which is good. But if you're going to play like really far back on all the sites, a team that has good executes is going to put a lot of pressure on you. And we've seen that even on anti-eco rounds with just Tech 9s, a couple smokes, and armor, Astralis has been able to say, like, okay, well, if you're going to give us all this free space, we're going to take it. We've got 1 or 2 executes, and we'll trade you out. I'd love to have just like a hard and fast rule, like if a team is execute heavy, do this. If a team is not, then do that. But just changing it up and making it a little bit different. Some rounds you're aggressive, some rounds you grab map control to prevent them from using it to execute. Some rounds you give it, and you want them to execute into a crossfire or setup that you've got. I mean, that's what makes a good in-game leader, right? Like recognizing those things and making the right change is how you win or lose maps in a lot of cases. And Astralis proactively made a change a few rounds ago that we pointed out. That was brilliant because they've run 1 or 2 executes outer that pushed everybody behind a smoke. Then they pushed up and traded people out with Tech 9s. They threw what looked and felt similar, and they just all sat back, knowing that the CTs were going to have to change from what they had done before because it didn't work to something that was a little bit more aggressive. And they sat there and got what looked like super easy kills, right? People were watching them like, oh, I could have gotten that kill. But they don't understand all the decisions that led to having the opportunity for that kill. All right, so this looks like an outer execute, right? That smoke, this smoke, same thing we saw last time. There's the Molly. And notice, look at how different Snacks is playing this. But it's a fake. This is so brilliant. Brilliant. Now, that's 3 variations of the exact same strat. That's brilliant. And this is like, trying to think of a good, this is, and again, I'm not a chef, so if you are a chef and I insult you with this analogy, I apologize. But a good chef can take like a handful of the same ingredients and make like 3 or 4 different recipes, right? With like slight changes and, you know, maybe a little bit of this, may take away a little bit of that. That's what a good IGL does. If you've got 1 or 2 strats that work, you can make like 3 or 4 variations of it. And we've seen this strat, right? They cut off visibility here. They cut off visibility here. Some rounds they run up the lanes and they trade, you know, they basically seem to try to put emphasis on this guy and the backtrain guy. Some rounds that, you know, they mollied this, they smoke it off, they smoke this off, and they molly back here, and then they sit here in this like little box, this little zone. That round, the exact same smokes, right? They cut this off, they cut this off. I think they actually, what was the other smoke? Actually, no, I think it would have been one of the other smokes. And they run 4 inner. It's very, very well called. And as an in-game leader, if you don't have a coach or an analyst or someone helping you kind of come up with these strats, that's the type of thing that is just super efficient. If you've got one execute that you really believe in and you know works, most of the time you run it, and it's kind of like your go-to in a situation where like you need to win a round. If that works once or twice and you've got 2 or 3 variations of it, they're way more likely to work because the original one that you're coming out of it works with. So while this round's happening, we had an execute that we steamrolled teams. We beat Liquid on this map last season. Last season? The season before last? Like 16-7 or something. Like, we dominated them, and they all tweeted about how it was like super weird the way we played because we had one execute that they could not stop, and we had like 4 variations of it. So it was a fast outer rush at the start of the round. There was basically nowhere that they could be that they weren't going to be blind, standing in a molly, or smoked off. And we had variations of it where we would run it, right, and we'd have the people come out in their desired locations and push the site, right? Push the site, a couple guys wrap this way. We had a variation of it where the guy that was normally pushing this lane actually runs all the way around and comes back here. We had variations of it where the people that go ladder no longer go ladder, they all come here. We called that one power lane. And then we had a variation of it where we threw all that shit. One person would run past ladder, one person would run to the ladder, and then everybody else was going in her. It was just one. It was one execute, but it had like 8 different twists, and so each one got a different name and different responsibilities for each person based on their spawns. And when we actually made it work, it was beautiful. Teams would steal it from us.